What up, everyone? It is Arroyo again, and I'm here to talk to you about a book. Alfonso, last week, he had talked about X-Men, he was criticizing it. Well, I'm going to not criticize, but I'm going to just, discuss, more like it, the book, The Help. I don't know if you've read it, or if you've seen the movie, but I'm going to pretty much be talking about both the movie and the book. So, I'm not very far into the book. I'm at chapter 8, 9. It's pretty good so far. And so I pretty much wanted to talk about the transition from book to movie. I've already seen the movie several times, and in terms of transition, I think that they did generally well so far. Definitely all the ideas have gotten in. The movie went as close as possible as they could in terms of actors and actresses, because it's very hard to find the characters to exact description. Like Aibileen, for the movie they did pretty well. I couldn't complain, because that was a character that the personality just had to really be matched, which they matched perfectly. Like a softy person who's oh, I would any favors for you, but at the same time had respect for herself, and really is, able to have arguments, disagree with you. You weren't necessarily needing Aibileen to be as old as she is in the book. In the book, she's probably around 60, 70. In the movie, she is probably around 50, 60, which I'm perfectly fine with her age in the movie. I'm not going to be that particular about, the age of this people. They generally get in all of the scenes so far. There's a couple of scenes in The Help that don't happen in the movie, but they're really not necessary. There's this one scene where Skeeter and Haley, they were in Haley's dressing room in her house, and Haley was setting Skeeter up with a date, and they don't really include this part at the house in the movie. Skeeter just goes straight to the restaurant, and that's where they were. This part at the house wasn't really necessary, so I don't really care that they completely knocked it out. Also, the description of Haley is different, which this doesn't necessarily bother me, but I feel like it would have added more if Haley was fit the description in the book. In the book, Haley is not necessarily fat, but she's chubby because she's had children. And it's she kind of had this mother-like thing where she's, she has her stretch marks to prove that she's had children. That's what she brags about. Oh, you'd never guess how many kids I've had. I think it was 2 or 3, but she had several kids. And I feel that extra thing, her body structure, just her being a little bit fatter, would have kind of added to the fact that she's all high and mighty and the queen, and the fact that no one mentions it or no one talks about it. People talk about the white women in the movie, they talk about each other, in little groups they talk about each other, but even within the big bridge group they talk about each other, but they don't ever talk about Haley, ever. If you've noticed that, then you know what I'm talking about when I say it probably would have added a little bit more if she had been fat or chubby and they didn't mention anything, because then that would have kind of added more to the she's the queen bee character. But anyway, so generally so far they have really gotten every scene in, established everything really well. I don't have any super complaints about the movie. It was a good movie. They did well with the character of Minnie, although Minnie in the book she's younger than Aibileen, but in the movie she possibly could be older. She could be a couple of years older than her, up to about probably 15, 20 years older than her. More 10 years older than her, which I have a little bit of a complaint with. That I'm a little bit bothered by it, because it seems that Aibileen is she's not, after her son died, which, by the way, I probably should have put this at the beginning of the video, but spoiler alert, I'm probably going to put some annotation in the very beginning. But, so, after Abilene's son dies, she's old and she doesn't really like have this glow that she usually does before her son died. And so you really have Minnie becoming her friend and like helping her out. And so we don't like, if she's younger than her, it's more of this like Abilene's frail and old. If the possibility that Minnie's older than her, then there's kind of like that's gone. It's not there anymore. And so I mean I don't really complain about it, but I have a little bit of an issue with it, like just a bit, just a little. Like I wouldn't change it if I could in the movie because I don't really mind it, but I mean, you know, it's a little it's a little annoying. The book is very good. I recommend it. Let's see. It's a really big subject that I absolutely love. It's the general idea of the book is trying to fight racism in when is this? 19 something. But fighting racism and how the help, or the maids and the colored maids and the colored people and the colored, people who work in the cities and towns, how they're discriminated and not treated fairly. And that issue is pulled into the city of Jackson, Mississippi, specifically. One of the larger places that was really big on separation of colored and white. And so it's pulling this issue into this very, very racist town / city or whatever. And I really love the fact that Skeeter is really testing, she's testing society on the fact that racism and the separation of colors and whites is a big issue in Mississippi, and it's unfair to the people who are black and who are colored, and the people who are actually still humans and people. Oh my god, they're just like whites. But it's like a lovely thing. I love it so much. It also kind of like, if you look at the side of it that's about feminism, which it doesn't really have feminism in it. Like, it does not address feminism directly. But if you bring this book and you read it, and you go through all the things that are very, sexist, and you think about Skeeter's character, you realize, Skeeter's a bit of a feminist. Like, she pretty much is. And I absolutely love Skeeter's character in that, because I'm a big feminist myself, and it is absolutely wonderful. So I've already taken up 8 minutes of your time. Let me go ahead and wrap up. Let's see, I've gotten pretty far. I'm 125 pages in. I will be updating you guys every other week on where I am in the book. I hope I'm able to finish the whole thing soon, because it is a really great book. I'm a slow reader, so I have been reading it for 2 weeks probably. Yeah, something like that. Alright, so I hope you have a happy week. Thank you, Alfonso, for your last video, and peace off.